Bam. Let's see here. I'm going to mess up if I do that. Well, there we go. I think we have something. Now we just got to wait for people to show up. Because I don't tell nobody nothing. I let them figure it out. I'm going to get my chair. Going to get my chair, baby. Yeah. What's up? How's it going today, Big Dave? Oh man. I'll take a little break till people start showing up. Scotty, you got it. What's up, man? How's everybody doing today so far? I had to break out the Sony Explode subwoofer. So that's an ongoing joke on Living Live with Andy about the Sony Explode stuff. So we got interesting things happening today. We got interesting things. We got Trump Thunder Lithium things happening today. Somebody else is showing up. People are coming in, just getting out of bed. Dang it, son. Sunny? Yes, it is. Well, I'm here. I'm here in the outside. You know, I like doing the outside thing whenever it's at all possible. Not a fan of being indoors, especially whenever it's really nice out. Right now, it is freaking brilliant out here. 62. No, it's a little bit warmer than that here. It's probably like 68, 67, 68. Like I said, it is brilliant. Like I wouldn't change it 1 freaking degree out here. All right. Well, that's not just any Sony sub. That's about a 25-year-old Sony Explode. My favorite budget DAP. Define DAP. Processor, DSP. Got 2 new Big Dave says, got you. Big Dave says, I got 2 new DS18 EXL XX 15 point. Man, I need 4 big old 15s or 18s in here. And my favorite budget brand, I don't have one yet. I mean, I can start spitting out names, but that's not how I roll. Though I did see one on was it Toyd that did one, or High Five Vector? I believe it was High Five Vector. Did a recent video on a DSP. Was it DG? That was the name. And I don't know what the price is on that one. I know it's a budget setup, but I believe it has good stats, has good stuff. So I think I would try that one. I'd be inclined to try that one. Cooking. Yeah, right. Cooking in the Australian summer. I think I might have 2 red ones in the garage. Oh, the old school red ones. Yeah, I had 2 of the 12s in a Ford Probe. And I had 2 of the 12s in a Ford Probe, and I had I think it was an 800-watt red explode amp. I believe it was 800 watts. That was the first build I did where it looked really nice. Like I had it all dressed up. And it looked great and it sounded good, but I had built the sub boxes for those 212s like tiny. And so even though it looked awesome and it sounded good, hey, it was no real bottom end in that system. The box was way too small. You're welcome, Jordan. Yeah, I haven't had a lot of experience with the budget lines of DSPs. I've read about a lot of them, and but I hadn't really messed with them enough to develop a real opinion. Still, though, that DG seemed like a really good setup. It had a lot of characteristics, a lot of functionality that I would look for in a DSP. And he said it sounded good and had good. It made the voltage where it's supposed to, and several other characteristics. So after his test, so I would be inclined to go that route if I was going for a budget one. It also looked pretty nice too. It was a nice looking DSP, something you could put on a board and not have to, hide half of it. The AD DSP that I have in here, I love the DSP, but it's not aesthetically something that you'd really want to mount on a board. All the inputs on it are cables. So it's got cables coming out with female RCAs on each one, which means you get this big old bundle of RCAs, and you're like, it's like a 6 or 8 inches long. There's no way to really hide that easily. It's just not a pretty displaying piece, but it does its job really well. Who all's in the house this fine afternoon? We get some people in the house tonight or this afternoon, and I'll crank up the system here in a little bit. As long as it doesn't get too late, I'll give it some beans and potatoes. So yes, the Truck Thunder Lithium has released the Banger10k XL. This is a battery that I think is going to be phenomenal for the market. I mean, we're talking about a sub $500 battery that can handle 5,000 watts with a stock alternator. How you like them apples? And if you add an aftermarket alternator, 240 amps or up, you can run up to about 8,000 watts off this one battery. with no helpers, just the battery and the alternator doing the whole business. So that's what we're talking about today. It is that, what do you call it with the 4? The one that ends with 4. I can't think of the name of it. Shit. Hang on a minute. What's going on my screen? Hang on. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. But yeah. LiPo 4, I guess. Is that the word I'm looking for? So one that, like I said, it's the one that ends with a 4. Yeah, my nomenclatures are all broken. But yes, Jordan Beast is it light? It is very light. It is like you could easily, palm it with one hand and pick it up. Hitman says I get my bonus in March and hopefully be getting that battery and amp upgrade. Yeah, baby. The new one. Hitman, talking about the new one, the one we just got coming out. Oh, good grief! Yeah, lead acid battery weighs like a ton. This thing will be a couple of pounds. Like, yeah. Like, less than 2 or 3 pounds. Like really, really light. Like so light that it feels like an empty box. Almost. But the power it puts out, let you know real quick that it's not. So this thing is 45 amp hours, 45 amp hours of storage, where my 10K is only 20 amp hours of storage, but it does the job. This thing's running, this battery right here is running my 10,000 watt amplifier up there, 500 watt amplifier over here, another 300 watt amplifier, or 300 watts off that one inside. So it's running over 10,000 watts on a single 370 amp alternator with no other batteries or capacitors or anything in that system. Just that one battery right there. Now this guy coming out has actually got more than twice as much storage, which is a lot. And so yeah, it's going to be able to do 5K like a breeze. Jordan B says, I know you don't care for CCA wire, but do you think alt gauge would be okay for a 1500 watt total system? Sure, alt gauge CCA wire would be fine for that as far as the conductivity goes. You're probably looking at 150 amps max, and that's way out there. So yeah, it'd be fine. The only thing I worry about with the alt gauge or with CCA wire is, besides the fact that it performs worse, is the fact that it has it's prone to corrosion, and the wire tends to break down, which means the connections get loose, which means more corrosion, more loose connections, more corrosion. Before you know it, you got hot wires, melted insulation, melted fuel holders, all that nasty kind of stuff. So if you got some, be sure to keep it really clean, seal it up, and keep a constant check on it. Just got done running that zero gauge America. Yeah, baby. Man, that thing has some serious copper in it. Very happy with it. Me too, man. Me too. I'm very pleased with it. Silicone on the joints. You could, but honestly, just get some marine grade heat shrink and heat shrink everything. Seal it up as good as you can and keep it clean. Keep it out of the weather. And then just keep an eye on it. Check your connections and stuff more regularly than normal. Check your fittings where your copper lugs go on. check that connection between the wire and the lug. Make sure it's not decaying or getting loose or wiggly. Keep an eye on stuff like that. That's the main thing. DeOx forever connection. I can't speak on that, but Jason Grant has made a comment, and I can't speak on whether or not I can endorse it, but sure. Man, I'd rather run 4-gauge copper as alt gauge CCA. I would definitely rather run 2-gauge copper. Some 2-gauge copper welding wire would be superior to CCA alt gauge. I know that sounds crazy, but oh, will it? Okay, I didn't know. Jason Grant says over time the silicone, the chemicals in the silicone will degrade the copper. Ah, yeah. Oh, I got you. Cool. DeOx, huh? I've never heard of it. I guess it's deoxidant, or I'm short for something, because you're using a slang term that other guys in your industry understand, but you're not talking to people in your industry. So, yeah, I'd rather run copper wire. You know, what's funny is in the electrical world, in the electrician world, copper is actually kind of rare because, especially with big industrial places, most of them run straight aluminum. It's just aluminum, solid core aluminum wiring. And the reason is weight and cost. And plus you're running AC current, AC electricity instead of DC. And AC, being alternating current, doesn't require as big or healthy of a conductor as direct current does. Direct current needs a lot heavier conductor. This is why AC won the electricity wars way back in the day. It's because it was more suitable for transmission over long distances. And that also meant that it cost less money to install the infrastructure to make that happen. You could use a lighter weight infrastructure and go longer distances. And that lends to the fact that, of course, that it costs less money to use aluminum in buildings and industrial and commercial applications. So a lot of times the internal part will be copper, but everything going in will be aluminum. But having said that, when they sent people up into space to go to the moon, all the wiring was copper. They didn't use no aluminum in those rockets, and weight was a major factor. So whenever lives are more important than weight, yeah, or money, copper is the one they use. They also didn't have any soldered connections. All the connections on the Apollo missions, all the wiring connections were crimped connections. None of them were soldered. Soldered connection is good until it's bad. It's like good, broken. A crimp connection is good, meh, finally tore out. There's a whole lot of meh in there, so it means it's mostly going to work even if it's not great. And whenever you've got a circuit like that, you'd rather the circuit work mostly as fail completely whenever lives are in the balance. Crimp connectors. There's no soldered connections used in cars either. Cars use all crimp connectors. Fail. It just breaks. We have people coming and going this evening. You just never know who's going to show up. I'm looking for El Fuego to pop in and Bobby B. I know them too. So whenever, if they're not working, if they can, they'll stop by. So yeah, Trunk Thunder Lithium Banger 5K XL V2. That's what you look for. 5,000 watts on a stock alternator. You guys realize how crazy that is? For a starting battery and from audio system, yes, but you can't put it under the hood. It is never a good idea to put any lithium under the hood, even the ones that are supposedly made for being under the hood. I don't really care for that idea. But yes, it'll start your car and do all the stuff. You can run it as the only battery in the vehicle. I don't know. I know the chemistry in this battery. The cells of this battery that I have are good for negative 40 degrees. I haven't talked to Brandon about the temperature range on that yet. If it's the same chemistry, well, it is the same chemistry, but if it's the same types of cells as this guy, then it'll be a negative 40 to 140. But don't quote me on that because I don't know. Maybe Brandon will show up in the group tonight and he can answer your question if he shows up. He'll be the one to ask about that off the bat. It's probably going to be the same caliber of cells that I'm using here. And I'm really enjoying this thing. This thing has been a monster, absolute monster. And the storage is good. Because I come out here, I've got my tablet charging off that battery in there. And whenever I'm out here doing stuff all the time, it's the voltage is always sitting at 13.1, and it's been charging that tablet for like a week since I started it, and it never loses voltage. I don't know where it's just pulling power out of the air, I guess. Southside Base Fanatics. Hey man, love your videos. I'm about to get a lithium battery for my setup. Sweet. That's the jam. If you want to get one, then head over to Trunk Thunder Lithium and look at their batteries they have for offer there. Of course, the coupon code CAE10 will get you a discount, and you won't be unhappy with it. I don't know how much power you're planning on running, but if you're looking at 8,000 watts or less, you could run this new guy, the Banger10k V2. That'll handle 5,000 watts on a stock alt and 8,000 watts on an upgraded alternator. And it's less than $500. Now, you go find anybody else out there selling anything like that with a medical grade balancer, pre-tested, for grade A cells, new cells, top of the line shit, you know, fully assembled, tested, verified. For less than $500, it'll support 8,000 watts. Good luck. It's also got the 10K V2. I don't have the details on it. It's basically the second version of this guy, and like I said, I can't give you details on that one. So I haven't discussed that in detail with him yet. Who all's in the house? We're talking about lithium today. Alex, what's up, man? So yeah, all you need is a 240, 250 amp alternator or better, and you can run 10,000 or 8,000 watts off of the Banger XL, 5K XL V2. And I'm hoping it's, I'm pretty sure it's good to negative 40, but I'm not 100%. Maybe Brandon will show up. He can answer that question for you guys. But it'll be on the site. It'll be down in the information what range you can operate in. I can't look for it right now because you guys are on my device. Oh, me see here. Okay, let me back up. I'll get to Jason in a second. Mind if I ask, do you use your head unit crossovers or an amp? I'm running 2 tweeters and the pillars, 2 6.5s, the doors, 2 subs, all scar. I use a DSP for all my crossovers, and Audio Dynamics 64 AT or 46 AT. Audio Dynamics 46 AT. That's what I'm using for all my crossovers. And that sounds like a pretty good setup. It's similar to what I'm running. I got a couple more speakers than that, but that's very similar. Jason Grant, wish I would have found your channel before I brought my 2 excess power lithiums. Yeah, I get it, brother. I mean, you know, I'm sure they're rock solid, and excess power doesn't make any bad stuff, but they do charge, and I think you're paying more for what you're getting than you should. But other than that, you know, yeah, as long as you already got them and you got some good stuff, you just paid more for it than you should have. Hipton, I have no idea how to pronounce that name, but what's up? He says, what's up, CAE? Yeah, baby. All right. Is FS an important factor to consider when buying a box, whether sealed or ported? Somewhat. FS is the frequency that your subs want to vibrate in. So, hang on a minute, and I'll get to you, Jacob. And so, in some ways, it could be a factor, but usually, yeah, it could be. It's one of the heavier factors, I would say, in designing a box. So it would be something to consider when buying a box. Now, as far as how to consider it, I'm not briefed up on it to where I could give you details, but I can see where it could be a pretty important piece of information when it comes to designing a box, like the QTS as well. You know, the FS, the mechanical FS and the electrical FS, and the mechanical Q and the electrical Q, the total Q. All those are really important numbers when it comes to designing a box. Jacob, hang on a minute. Jacob says, are you still trucking? No, sir, I'm not. I have, I've got about 15 different major conditions. So yeah, I got prostate cancer. It hit stage 4. I've got congestive heart failure, and I still smoke. Get over it. I got diabetes. I've got a bunch of conditions. And trucking just made it outside of my my ability. I said it right. Lipton says, I said it right. Jacob says, we used to drive together at RBX. I hadn't seen you in a long time. I'm trying to remember. I have trying to put face with the name, so forgive me if I can't. Somebody wrote a book. Hang on a second. Thank you, Jacob. Marcus said, so you're trying to say you don't trust the Titan 8 under the hood either? No, I don't. It should be fine, but I'm kind of skeptical too, but I guess they wouldn't release something that hasn't been heavily tested. Yeah, well, I would also take into consideration where you live. You know, if you live in southern Arizona or in New Mexico or the Mojave Desert, it's probably not a good idea. If you live up northern part of the United States where it doesn't typically get over, 115 degrees outside, maybe not as much of a problem. I just don't know, man. I'm still skeptical. I wouldn't trust it. I just wouldn't trust it, man. I wouldn't. I'm sorry. Uh, and I don't need to trust it. You could run that. You could run your whole vehicle off of a battery that's located in the back of the vehicle. Why put a battery under the hood in the first place? What's the point? Oh, you had the pink KW. Oh, Pinky. Well, several people had that sucker, but I think I remember who you are now. That old Pinky was owned by several people, and it's nice seeing you. GA95 said if a sub said, "Ooh, it's going to run away." Let me get you on the screen. If a sub has 21 FS and another sub has 32 FS, the difference, well, if you're trying to play sound pressure, meaning you want it to be as loud as you can get it, having the FS at the same point as the frequency you're trying to play will do that. Will absolutely do that. However, if you're trying to play SQ, you want that frequency to be outside of the band that you're wanting to play. So for an example, I'll go back up to Jason again here in a second. On a 21 FS sub, as long as you're playing above 21 hertz, it's going to stay very linear. That'd be good for SQ. On the other hand, a 32 FS sub, if you wanted to run that and tune your port and everything at 32 hertz, at 32 hertz, it's going to get busy. But it's not going to sound good for music because every time the frequency gets 32 hertz, it's going to be a big kick. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve. Hopefully that helped you. Jason says, I'm skeptical too, but I stuck one under the hood anyway. Hey, sometimes you just got to say I do and hope for the best, right? Jacob says, you too, bro. Get better. Hope the best for you. Me too, man. I'm not studying on the outcome. I'm studying on the right now. The destination is always important, but people in this life, in this world today, are way too focused on where they're going and not enough focused on the process of getting there. You know, when you're a teenager, you're waiting so hard for 16 so you can drive. Then you're waiting for 18 so you can be considered an adult. Then you're waiting for 21 so you can be. By the time you get 21, you go, man, what happened to all the good years are gone. I was spending them all waiting for this, and now I'm wishing I was back there. The RFP315, solid subwoofer. Got 21 FS. I would say that would work for SQ quite well, yes. As long as you're not trying to play the frequency at that FS, that'd be really nice for FS or for SQ. They would still do well for sound pressure too, but they wouldn't be the pick, the pick of the litter. It'd be up there, but not the pick of the litter for SPL. But for SQ, a sub that has an FS of 21 hertz is going to be very linear throughout its whole frequency range and not give you any real hard peaks anywhere. So yeah, I would definitely wouldn't have a problem with running a P3 at 21 hertz FS for a SQ sub. I really like the P3 Rockford Fosgate P3s and the old school JL Audio W3s. The W3 was in that sweet spot where you were getting some seriously good components, but you weren't into the crazy expensive stuff. It was a nice middle ground. It was just an extremely good sub. So yeah, I like both of those guys. I like the P3 from Rockford and the W3 from JL. I had some pretty loud systems on my W3s too. I have two 15-inch JL W3s and a 1,000 watt Memphis Class D 1,000.1. One of the ones that was all chrome. Power in them bad boys. And that was in a sealed box. I had them in 3 different vehicles. And I built that sealed box in the bedroom in a rent house, in a carpeted bedroom. It was pouring rain. It had been raining for like 3 days. And I told my wife, I'm going to build it. We had an extra bedroom. It was like a trailer house. We had that one bedroom by the living room that we weren't using. I said, I'm going to build it in there. And I did. And yeah, sawdust and everything. It was horrendous. I was in there. We vacuumed at that room, I don't know how many times, trying to get all that sawdust out of the carpet. Bass takes priority over everything else. But yeah, good times all around. Anybody got any more questions today? I'm always looking for questions. This is a time you want to ask. Now's the time to ask, and I'll do my best to answer. Sometimes I just don't know, and I'll tell you, I don't know. You know, I don't make stuff up. So, hang on a second, Hitman. So, GA95 says some people say that 15 inches can't reach high bass notes like 200 to 250 hertz because they're too big compared to 12s or 10s. That's just a screwed up statement all the way around. Yes, a larger cone area is harder to move fast. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean it can't be done. You know, and besides that, who is playing their subs at 200 hertz? Subs are not designed for that frequency. That's like in the midwoofer territory. That's almost to the mid-range territory. Holy crap. If you're talking about like 80 or 90 hertz, now 90 will be considered high bass, real high bass. Like that's as high as I would expect any subwoofer to be able to play. Anything beyond that's just ludicrous mode. So, but having said that, no, I wouldn't. Ain't no 15 gonna play 200 hertz worth of crap. Ain't no subwoofer out there worth its weight in salt gonna pay that kind of frequency. So yeah, that's complete horseshit. Hitman says, I plan on either upgrading the 212s or 115 in a Chevy Cruze. I have the 210s right now. Chevy Cruze. Is that an SUV? I think it is. I have the 210s right now. I'd rock the 210s, baby. It's more about the box than about the cone area. If you ain't already got a box built, head over to GP Car Audio and look into their glue it and screw it stuff, their flat pack boxes. You didn't specify what type of sub you have, but they may have something built perfectly to fit your subs. And you're going to get a really solid box going that route. They'll be tuned properly. If they don't have it or you don't want to go that route, find the specs on your box, build it to spec, but add about 20% more volume to the main chamber, and you'll end up playing a little lower and a little smoother just keep your power in check. Don't run full tilt power on them. Turn the power down just a little bit, and increase the main chamber in the box by about 10-15% or so over the number they call for, and you'll get those lows to come out nice, smooth, and solid. On my A-pillar, all right. Jason Grant said, what are your crossover points on your A-pillar pods? Well, that's an easy one too. It's 350 hertz at 24 dB roll-off Butterworth. And that is the crossover for my A-pillar pods, which are running the 3.3s, the 3000 series from Audio Dynamics. And also that same channel is going to my tweeters. My tweeters have capacitors on them to where they're cut off at 8 kilohertz. So 8,000 hertz. And everything below that, they get shut down, but that little 3.3 handles 350 hertz and up. And on 3.3, I wouldn't go anything lower than that. You get too low and you start to break stuff. A 21 free air or a FS of 21 will absolutely play nasty lows. If you're playing 21 hertz, it's going to gyrate like a, like a thing, man. It's going to go. But if you're doing SQ, odds are you're not playing 21 hertz, at least not very often. You're probably not going to see much lower than 25 hertz. So, and even if you are playing 21 hertz, you're just going to reach down there and tip it every now and then, and it's going to get dominant. But yeah, 21 hertz FS is fine. It has to do with whether or not you're playing that frequency. If you're not playing that frequency, then that FS doesn't really affect how that speaker sounds. My go-to mid-bass speaker. If I have to throw a cat at a wall and see if it'll stick off the top of my head, well, I really like the Dupont Machete 6.5 mid bass. I want to say it was a V65 or something like that. I like those. I also like Audio Dynamics 5000 series 6.5s, but they're expensive. If money is not really a thing so much, then check out the Audio Dynamic 5000 series mid bass. That's the king, but it's also pricey. They do sound amazing though. Jordan B. SQ with 32 hertz would be better. So SQ with a 32 hertz FS would be better. No, SQ with a 32, well, a sub with 32 hertz FS is not ideal for SQ music. It's going to play 32 hertz a lot stronger than the other frequencies around 32 hertz. So it's going to be peaky at 32 hertz. If that's what you want, that's what you're going to get. Wherever your FS is where it's naturally going to want to play louder. So if you're playing frequencies, if your frequency range you want it to play includes the FS, it's going to get a little bit louder, a little looser at that FS. Usually that's not what people do in SQ want. Usually they want their FS to be outside of that range. So 21 hertz is going to have the FS way down here, and your range is going to be here. So it's going to be more linear. A coupe. Yeah, I stick with my what I originally said. 2 SCAR SVRs and a true spec prefab enclosure. Yeah, it's going to be the exact. Oh, it's a true spec. Okay. Yeah. That should be jamming them. You should be solid. Uh, if I want to listen to my sub playing very punchy, tight bass, at what frequency should I set the crossover? If you want punchy, tight bass, first of all, I would be running a sealed enclosure. It's just going to sound better. It's going to be more of what you're looking for. Second, the crossover is not really relevant for that. I mean, your crossover is mainly to keep the driver operating inside of a frequency range that it can play. How it plays is going to be more determined by the enclosure and the sub and the amount of power and all those other elements. The crossover points, just, I mean, a good solid spot for a sub is anywhere from 25 or 30 hertz up to the maximum of about 90 hertz. Most of your kick drums and stuff are happening in the 90 hertz, 80 hertz range, so, or lower. So 90 hertz is on the edge. I typically run mine at around 70. So, does that help? Is that informative to you? I mean, I know those two things are not connected together. That's what I'm trying to say. How the sub sounds has nothing to do with where the crossovers are at. That's what I'm trying to say. But another option too, if you really want punchy tight bass, is running a sub in the front, as well as the main sub that you've got, running a smaller sub and a sealed enclosure on a few 100 watts up front somewhere under your dash or in your console or somewhere up front, because that front stage bass is always going to make things sound a lot better. It's always going to give you a better sound field. You may not be able to get the big bada boom that you get from the back, but it'll give you a lot more bottom end, and it'll help your door speakers not have to work as hard. But not everybody can pull that off. Not every vehicle will accommodate a front sub, so it's understandable. Any more questions today? I know there's more people out there that need to ask something, and I'm here to answer what I can. I'll do my best, and I won't even call you a doofus. Okay, I'm gonna say I might call you a doofus because I'm a real human being, and I'm also a doofus. I know a doofus when I smell one. I have not. Okay, let's put that out there. Let's put Marcus out here on the screen. Marcus, you have been snake charmed into the sodium camp. I don't know a whole lot about it. I do know people that do know a lot about it. And Brandon, as soon as sodium started getting big, it trunked under lithium. Brandon was researching whether or not to get in sodium or not. And although people were wanting him to build sodium batteries, after enough research and testing, he said no. He doesn't feel comfortable with them. He feels like they're not safe enough and they're not quite appropriate for what we're doing with batteries. And so he refused to pick up the sodium torch. I can say that. And I put a lot of faith in Brandon's opinion. Okay. The only things I know about sodium is they have a lot of storage, they're good batteries for the right application. If I remember correctly, they do not take a lot of amperage, so you can't really charge them very well. You can't charge them big like we like to do with, you know, the batteries that we run in the car audio world. You have to charge them very slowly, which also means you can't, if you take a lot of power out of them, you can't readily put that power back, or you run into possible failures. So that's the most I know about sodium right now. I defer to the person who I know who's literally in the business of selling batteries and making batteries. And that person don't want sodium anywhere near his company. And so that tells me all I want to know about it. Hopefully that answered your question. Maybe, probably not, is the answer. Next victim. Speak up, people. And we are here talking about Trunk Thunder Lithium's new battery. And that's a Little Banger 5000, Little Banger 5K XL V2, 5,000 watts. It'll handle on a stock alternator, 8,000 watts on an upgraded alternator. It's the jam. 69 Bass said, "What's up?" And Marcus Stanley said, "I understood. Hopefully you did." Daniel Owens. Uh-oh. Here we go. Let's see what we got going on here today. Daniel Owens put 215 Rockville in a sealed box, then put, oh, you jumped away. Hang on. I'll get back to you here in a second, Jerry. Let me finish Daniel real quick. Then put a Solo X12 in a single ported box strapped together. Yeah, you can do multiple subs in different enclosures in a car. It's hit and miss. It's either going to sound awesome or it's going to sound like hot garbage. There's a lot of details in the middle to figure out which one you're going to end up with, but it's usually not the best idea. I did it. I've done it before. Jerry Jones says, "Hey man, I just tuned in and I have a million questions, but I'm not going to take up that much of your time. I know you're very knowledgeable about this and I'd like to talk to you sometime if you want." All right, we can talk. It's up to you, brother. 69 Bass said, "What does Trunk Thunder have that can handle a JP73? I'm not familiar with the JP73 enough to answer that question. Give me what kind of power is the JP73 producing?" I have to counter your question with a question. I don't have enough information on it. Yes, Daniel Owens, phase is tricky. Yes, it is tricky, and that's the thing. It can either help you or hurt you. 12K. I'm familiar with the 10K and down lineup. Two of the new batteries would absolutely handle 12K with an upgraded alternator. I can speak on that, and that's $479 each. That would handle potentially up to 15 or 16,000 with a high output alternator. Two of those would. The Little Banger 10K, the version 2, I don't know. It might be close. You'd have to go check out the site. I probably would run I'd probably run the two of these new batteries. That's what I probably run, because they're 45 amp hours each. That'd be 90 amp hours of storage. And 90 amp hours of storage is a ton of storage. That'd be a solid setup. So yeah. 20 hertz. No frequency is hard to play. Hardest frequency to play. I mean, 20 hertz, that will really try if your subs You can play 20 hertz. It's not about, it ain't hard to play it. You can play 1 hertz. It gets hard to experience it because number one, the big thing with holes in it that we call a vehicle is going to leak that pressure out before it ever has a chance to build up. And even though the frequency is far below your hearing level, you're going to be feeling that frequency. That's one part of why 20 hertz is hard to play. 2, it requires tons of mechanical movement, and that can be a problem. And number 3, even if you have all that jiving, you're playing it into a big, huge, holy box. And so the pressure never gets to build. It leaks out before it can build. So yeah, it's just not ideal, man. You want to play 20 hertz? We had a guy at the last show that did 20. He did 147 dB at 18 hertz. That was his score. And he held that. That was a 30-second average. That thing was windy as all hell. Jed Jones. I just got a GP370 self-exciting alternator. That's exactly what's under the hood of my Tahoe. On Marketplace for a great deal, and I'm wondering how I'm supposed to wire it properly. I have a short video. Literally, I could try to explain it, but I might miscall the colors. I have a short. Look into my shorts. One of them is how to wire a high output alternator. It literally is that same exact alternator. It's a 60-second video that explains exactly how to wire it up. And that's what I would defer to, because I'm 99% sure the stuff's right in my head, but I don't want to miscall a color. Essentially, there's one wire that goes from your key on ignition, goes to tell the alternator to turn on. That's got to go through a resistor. And then another wire goes to the post. It actually comes out of the alternator and goes back onto the post where you connect your charging wire in. And then the whole thing grounds on the frame. But I don't remember the colors of those wires. So look at that video and watch it. 60 seconds long. It'll tell you exactly what you need to know, literally working with the alternator. But you have to have that resistor in that one wire, or you'll burn up your voltage regulator. You'll burn up something important. See, when the alternator's not spinning, it's a dead short. And that's why the old school alternator light would come on the dash. You had that wire going through that light to the alternator, right? And as long as there wasn't a dead short, the light would be off. But as soon as the alternator stopped turning or malfunctioned, it would turn the light on. Alternator light would come on. And it would also turn on when you turn the key on. That light would come on because there was a dead short to ground in the alternator. That light would come on. As soon as you start spinning the alternator, it's not a dead short no more. And now the light would go off. So you could use a light bulb or a resistor. But you got to have something in that circuit so that whenever it becomes a ground in the alternator, it doesn't melt stuff. Yeah, what I said was true, though. So, and yeah, just look up the video. It's the same alternator. It's a one wire. It's the one wire self-igniting 14.4 volt, 370 amp Team GP alternator. Same one. So it's got one long wire and one wire with a little ring terminal on it. Now they probably, whoever had it before may have chopped off something and made it, but if you look at my video, you'll see the alternator, the connector, everything, and it'll all make sense. It's really not hard to hook up. Just be sure you got that resistor. I think it's like a 470 ohm resistor, but I could be wrong about that. But just be sure you got a resistor in that line so you don't smoke stuff. Anybody else got any questions they want to hit me up with today? because we just jamming right along, baby. We are jamming right along. Answering, got the Sony Explode hanging out over here, chilling like a villain, watching everybody. We exploding today. Y'all want me to crank it up? Who wants me to fire the Tahoe up? I'm gonna wait. Jerry Jones said, hell yeah. Well, you know what? Jerry said, yeah, so it's going to happen. Ain't nobody else said a word, but Jerry said, yeah, so we're going to fire it up. Jerry, you be sure and tell Andy I brought the Explode today. I didn't want him to feel left out. Let me go set this over here on the table. I don't want the Explode exploding in there. We're going to scare the old lady next door. We're going to scare them. We're going to scare them all. It's the highest you can charge that battery. 14.8, I do believe. 14.8 is where things get real, baby. I'm not sure though, to be honest. We're talking about the new battery. I am not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure, I'm about 95% sure that it's going to be 14.8. If it's something besides that, it'll be very surprising to me. Whew. Man, dizzy. Hang on a minute. Let's see what we got going on here. No, but it has the ignition. It has the wire on it to tell the alternator to turn on and off, and then it has a one to read the voltage. That's what it has. There's no pigtail, but there is a connector. Hitman says my Scar SV2 1500 has a phase dial, so I move it 1500, but halfway. Yes, that's punchier. Sure. It's either you got out of phase, you got reverse phase and in phase, and then you got 180 degrees out. That means you probably have you're probably having a phasing issue between your mid bass and your sub or something. You can set that wherever it sounds the best. Wherever that phasing sounds the best, rock it right there. It won't hurt nothing. Daniel Owen says, with one high amp alternator, should I run a large gauge wire from the alternator to the back batteries or leave it coming from my front battery? If you're going to have the front battery in the system, you want to run your large wire from your alternator to that front battery and then run it to the back. But if you're not going to leave that in the system, if you're running two separate alternators and two separate banks of batteries, that's different. But what I'm taking from what you're saying, run from your alternator to your battery, the battery to the other battery. That's your best. That way you can incorporate both of them in the run. So in your case, you've already got it running from the front battery to the back battery, then just run from the alternator to the front battery. What's my opinion on C-Max Lithium? It's not Trunk Thunder Lithium. And the people that are putting those cells together are not branded. So I don't have an opinion. I don't know. It's a brand. That's all I can tell you. I work with Brandon. See, that's the thing. I don't know enough about lithium to support my own knowledge, my own needs. So I defer to someone who does. That would be Brandon. Jerry Jones. Quad alternator bracket. The first place I would check is GP. If GP doesn't carry it, I would check with Big Jeff. In fact, Big Jeff, I actually have a discount code with Big Jeff. So if you use my discount code, which will be in all the last, however many videos, if you use that, you'll save money. So it's probably better to go to Big Jeff. But Tyler at GP probably has the bracket you're looking for. Just look at both of those two places. You can buy them off the Amazons and all that nonsense, but yeah, I would defer to going to one of those two because you're going to get a better product that won't fail on you in the short term. Trump Thunder Lithium, baby. That's what I'm running. I'm getting ready to turn my system on. I just stopped to answer questions. Oh, I have my gate closed. But yeah, so you see what I mean? This is what I got running the whole thing. This one battery right here. I'm not running any batteries in the front. I have a battery in the front, but it's on my my first alternator, and it's separate from this system. So I have a 370 amp alternator, and that battery is always doing my car audio. You just gave Tyler a lot of money because of me. And there you go, baby. I don't know what you bought, but I'm sure he appreciates it. It is what it is. The resting voltage on my battery is around 13.23. Notice I was very specific about 2.3 because it rests at 13.23. Exactly. If I've been playing it on it and doing stuff with it and whatnot, it'll rest about 13.1. If I've been using it, like for 3 or 4 days without charging it or anything. But if it just after a couple days with nothing pulling off of it, 13.23. All right. Let's make some noise and piss off all the people. We'll put Daniel up there. Daniel, you can sit up there. Oh. Oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? All right, guys. So the question is, here's a question. The question is it going to be The Freaks Come Out at Night, Jam On It by Nucleus, or Midnight Star, No Parking on the Dance Floor? Somebody vote up. I want to see somebody respond to one of them three. Let me know what I'm playing. I give you the possible choices. Or we could do Propane Money by Hank Trill. Jam on it. All right, that's it. Jam on it is. Let me get back on my screen. Jam on it's going to slam too. That was my break dance. Did y'all see that? Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. I didn't see my neighbor come to the door, but I guarantee you she was hearing things. My voltage was sitting at 14.1 when I went up there and looked. I should have took y'all with me. Have I tried any compression drivers on my system before? In the back of my Suburban, compression drivers. Is that like the thing that looks like a big old horn, like the big mid horn thing? If that's the case, I have not. But I have no issue with them. I just have not. Yeah, baby. Roller skate rinks and large tower house systems come to mind. Yeah, baby. Oh, for me, see, I went to school in Marianna, Arkansas. That's in Lee County. Population was about 97% black. So all of my girlfriends, most of my friends, all my teachers, everybody was black. And when we had a dance, And what I remember, what comes to mind is all of the booty on that dance floor. Oh my goodness, that was some good times, baby. Let me grab my drink. Good times. Holy cow. Oh, to be young again. You know what's up. And yeah, I got around pretty good. I was reasonably popular. See, that's the thing, being like one of like 5 white guys out of like 900 people. If a girl was into white guys, there's very few people to choose from. So I got chose a lot. They were the good old days. You ain't lying there. See, I went straight from there to Branson, Missouri, and talk about your culture shock. Yeah, that was wild. I didn't see that coming. Bit like a fish out of water. Everything was wrong. Who else got questions for me? Did I miss? Did I miss anybody? Let me scroll back here. Boy, everybody voted for Jam Only. Except for my neighbor. I guarantee you she didn't vote for Jam Only. She voted for hell no. But my neighbor's cool. She's a little bit crazy. And yeah, those were the good old days. Yeah. My neighbor's a little bit crazy. And so even though she ain't got no use for the kind of music I listen to, or loud music, she did. When I mentioned that I had amps and stuff, she did talk about her husband having a system back in the day. I forget the amplifiers that he had, but I remember that they were nice. I can't remember the name brand, but these were some really expensive, really high-end amps. So he had a taste. It's probably more SQ than SPL, but you know, he has some jam. I'll show you his old car though. We can go do that. Let's go take a look. We'll take a little walk. The old man that had these amps, he didn't have a system in this car. But I'll show you the car. It was his old car. And y'all gonna like it. It's been in a few videos, but I'm gonna try to give you well, they kind of got it parked in a screwy spot. I'm gonna try to give you all a closer look at it though. So my camera won't flip around because I don't know why. But we'll do it anyway. Get a little peeky sneaky peek. You see that car right back over there? The 50s. Let me collapse my tripod. We'll walk over here and have a peek. This thing. Cool, right? Check out the big visor up there. Now, that's like a 1950, like a 1952 or 53 Oldsmobile. And it's sitting on, I believe, a 1977 Oldsmobile frame, the whole drivetrain, engine, everything. It's a front wheel drive car, big V8 front wheel drive car from the 70s with a 53 Olds on top of it. Now, the interior, let's see here. Bobby B shows up. Son, we've been going forever. And I've been talking smack. And I told him, I said, you and El Fuego would eventually show up. And you just left me hanging out here. We done cranked the system up, disturbed the peace, played Nucleus, talked about booty from junior high. We done talked about everything, Bobby. So you done showed up late, man. You just, I don't know, hideous. It is what it is, man. I started this earlier than normal. Harman Kardon's. Really nice Harman Kardon amplifier in '88 that sounded so clean and clear. That wasn't what she had, but you're on the right train. Yeah. Bobby B said, what is this live shit? I know, right? Bobby B, I was dancing. I got my moves. I busted a move. And I ain't busted a move in like really bad. I busted a move really, really badly. Really badly. So it's there's probably gonna be TikTok videos of me busting a move. There probably already are TikTok videos of me busting a move. Later. I haven't even made an attempt to do anything remotely resembling dancing in like 20 years. But I felt that, you know, when Jam Only is playing, you know, or no parking on the dance floor, it calls and you just start doing stupid things. Yes, Jerry Jones said I was doing the robot. Whew. Dielectric grease. That's my preference. Paint does not create a good seal. Paint Dielectric grease will continue to seal even if you loosen the connection and tighten it back up and all that stuff. It's just going to continue to give. Paint only works as long as everything stays exactly as it is. And even then, there still can be leaks. Dielectric grease is better. So that's what I use. Having said that, you could use any grease. But dielectric grease is designed to be non-conductive. It doesn't conduct. That's what dielectric means, is non-conductive grease. But again, as long as you're not connecting that post, like the positive post, to a ground with a solid chunk of grease, you're not going to use about any grease. Jerry Jones started using rubberized undercoating for the grounding points on my frame. It's not bad. That works. Again, I prefer grease. If it's just grounding locations, I just use regular, really thick grease to cover them up. Like the thickest, most chunky grease you can find. I'll be fine. If you're doing positive connection, you know, somewhere where it could possibly touch metal, and using dielectric is better. But if you're just using it for ground points, just use any kind of grease you can get a hold of. The thicker, the better. KY jelly, totally fine. But KY jelly would break down. For hers or his pleasure. Well, you know, sometimes friction is a thing. You know, getting rid of all the friction doesn't always, you know, make things better. Just saying. Friction can be fun. Friction can be your friend. You got a friend in me. Who else has some questions for me today? Because I'm hearing chicken call me. I got chicken in there and it's calling. Fuego is coming. All right, I'll hang around for a few more minutes for Fuego. Just for Fuego. Were you supposed to be my stall factor? The delay factor? Stalling, man! Stalling! You crack me up, bud. You guys are all nuts. But you are. You're all insane people. And you're my kind of people. Y'all come over to my house and hang out. There he is. What's up, Fuego? Man, I'm just getting ready to shine off here in a few minutes. Got to go get me some food on. And Bobby B said you're coming, so I held off. You know, I won't make sure you had a chance to just tell me hello from the Pacific Northwest. Need to get back to work on my bourbon. Have a great night and enjoy the chicken. You damn right I'm going to enjoy the chicken. It's barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken, baby. That's what's up. You know what's better than barbecue chicken? A big old fat pork chop. A big old sloppy, fat, greasy pork chop. But only slightly better than barbecue chicken. Yeah, Fuego, I did the robot earlier. Go back and watch the other. Just go back and rewatch the stream. I think you'll get a kick out of it. Whenever you see me get up and move the camera over there, that's when you start watching. Yeah, I turned the radio on and I had the Tahoe playing and well, I just keep it real, man. Look, yeah, baby, that's what's up. Wrapped up in bacon. And then El Fuego already buying me tacos, knowing I'm going to get some chicken. El Fuego, thank you. Thank you, El Fuego. But you don't have to do that. You know this. No, for real, though. I mean, like, if the pork chop, if you ain't got to lick your fingers when you're eating the pork chop, if you ain't got to lick all the pork fat off your hands, you ain't doing it right. You know what I'm saying? If that pork chop ain't at least half fat, where it's just big old soft, greasy, fat pork chop, it ain't right. I don't want no lean pork chop. That's like non-alcoholic beer. That ain't even right. What made me build a flat wall instead of one of the orders? Marcus Stanley. That's actually an excellent question to which I have an answer. Jerry Jones, absolutely. That's what's up, man. It's gotta be a bunch of fat or it ain't right. Then you just got like a piece of leather or something. If it ain't got some fat on it, this is a piece of leather that you can eat. Why did I build a flat wall instead of one of the one of the orders? Technically a fat wall is an order, but I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah, baby. The answer to that question is I got a box that came out of a Chevy Cobalt. It was built for a flat wall and a back seat trunk kind of a wall and a Chevy Cobalt. Come out of that, the guy was chunking it because he was doing another build. And another friend of mine was over there. Said, hey, what are you doing with that? Throwing it away. So he loaded it in his truck. He hollered at me and said, hey, I got this. You want it? I'm like, bring it over. Let's have a look. He brought it over and I said, sure, that looks cool. I'll put it in the closet. Maybe for later. Put it in the closet like a year and a half ago, something like that. And over the summer, I got the itch, busted it out, built a slide in, slid it in. And that's how I wound up with a flat wall. So yeah, it's a trick answer, man. Sorry. Let's see what he said here. El Fuego said, it's my car audio YouTube alarm clock. Thanks, Uncle Bobby B, for the alert. Yeah, Bobby B is his alarm clock. Yeah, baby. Pork chops are chunky. Oh, dude, I straight up love a pork chop. All right, everybody always talking about how steak is the king of the meats, man. I mean, I can appreciate a steak. I can. But if you give me the choice between a steak and a pork chop, I'm going to take that chop every single time without even thinking about it. It's just got way more flavor. Steak is kind of flavorless. Pork chop, man, it's just got the butter and the grease and it's just good. I'm looking for a 415 box for my build if I find anybody tossing one out. Yeah. And you know what? You'll be competing with me because my next build is going to be a 415 or a 418 or something much bigger. I'm going with bigger cones. So beef brisket is okay. It's okay. But if I got the choice between pork or beef, I'm going to take the pork every time. Even then, but I'm still a pork chop. I'm a pork chop man. My nickname in junior high was Pork Chop. El Fuego. I had one of my female friends had 2 daughters, and it was one of those package deals. And my friend, one of her daughters came in while I was on a video call with a friend of mine, and she was chewing on a pork chop bone. She had that pork chop bone, and she was chewing the rest of the meat off that bone. And my buddy was on the call with me on a video call, and he saw it, and so he started calling her pork chop bone. So her name become pork chop bone. Now I didn't know her but about a week and a half. To this day, all these years later, her name is still pork chop bone. She never lived that off. It stuck around all that time. Pork chop bone. Jerry Jones, 618 bill, nightshades. You don't want them anyway, man. You don't want them. Stay away from them. You don't want them. You don't want them nightshades. Just my My opinion. Just my opinion. You want to skip that. Move on to something else. Marcus, go to the dumpster in my local car audio shop. You'll be surprised what you will find that is fixable and ready to install. That is true. But most of the crap that you find, well, you find a lot of small stuff. You find like a single 12 box, maybe a 215 box, maybe a 212 box. And yeah, sometimes that works. And if you're just building, if you're putting together a real budget system and you just want some beat in there, that's a great way to go. But we're talking about doing something much bigger than that. And even if there was a wall in a dumpster, you ain't gonna dig it out of there. That sucker's gonna weigh 300-400 pounds. So there is that. Why is that? I just got buddies that are running the nightshades that had nothing but problems with them. So I don't try to dog on nobody. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Just go a different direction. Pork chops, mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, garlic butter, and biscuits. Oh yeah, all that sounds good. It ain't got to be just one kind of tater. You can make all the taters, all the kinds. I'm an equal opportunity tater eating some bitch. I'll eat them all at the same time. I'll put mashed potatoes in a baked potato and call it good. We'll call it a potato taco. I hope it stays that way, bro. I hope it stays that way. Just don't get stupid with the power. The Recons are like $200 and something a piece. I think they're actually more than that. It is what it is, man. I just have, like I said, I got some buddies that run multiples, like they compete and all that, and all they've had was problems. That's all I can say. Fuego. You saw the short for Trunk Thunder Lithium in that 5K. You're damn right it's a bargain. Perfect for the test bench, 120 amp, 12 volt. Yes, that's a flawless test bench deal. That thing right there with 120 amp, 12 volt DC power supply, you can run a 5K like crazy on it. So what my thoughts are is it's perfect for someone who's just getting into the heavier end of car audio. You know, you got your 2K or your 1500 watt or 2K amp, and then you're getting ready to step up a little bit, having a little trouble, you're wanting to move up. You know, you're finally moving away from the pawn shop, Walmart section into something a little bit more serious. And now you need battery. It's perfect. You can support up to 5,000 watts off a stock alternator. And then you buy it for that. And as you move through that phase and you go to stepping up your gain a little more, it'll support 8,000 watts off of an upgraded alternator. So that's going to take you through like 2 or 3 phases on your build as you grow. And that's a great way to be. And plus, it's under $500 for that battery. You can't beat that. That's my. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So, you guys head over to Truck Thunder Lithium. Use my coupon code CAE10, CAE10, and pick yourself up one of these guys. I think you'll be amazed. The power output and the serious potential for building a system with it. Hipton, I still ain't pronouncing that last name. I have no idea what the hell that is. Is that your actual name, or is it something you just came up with? There's got to be a story to that, because it's all messed up. Either that, or it's from another country, and I'm just an ignorant American, which is 100% the truth. I'd rather let everybody know I am definitely an ignorant American. And so anything I say, any of these stupid ignorance comes out of my mouth, is because of that. I've already let y'all know. I got I've already laid it down. More questions, baby. Who else has got something for me? I will be glad to give you what knowledge I have, and if I don't have any knowledge, I will give you my screwed up opinion. For those of y'all who don't know, the Trunk Thunder Lithium Banger 5K XL V2 just came out. 45 amp hour for $479. It will run a 5,000 watt amplifier on a stock alternator and an 8,000 watt amplifier off of an upgraded alternator. Use my coupon code CAE10 for a discount. Head over there and pick this up. This is going to change your system for the better in every way. El Fuego says, are you in Springfield? Are they eating the dogs and cats out there? Only the Democrats are eating the dogs and cats. Us Republicans, we're just eating pigs. So, and occasionally a cow and sometimes chickens. But the Democrats, they're chasing the dogs and cats. They keep raiding the dog pound, the animal shelter. The animal shelter is now having to put guards outside to keep the Democrats from overtaking them and going total Chinese buffet in there. So, nickname. Okay. I was just wondering, man, because it's a wild name and I don't know how to pronounce it. Unfortunately, you can't give me the audio version to pronounce it for me. I'm sure it's simple. Hipton Leighton Coopy. Is that right? That's my best guess. Oh, well, what's my thoughts? Oh man, you're opening a huge can of worms with that one. Okay. I'm gonna need another cigarette. We're gonna get to that though. Just hang on. Marcus Stanley said, what are your thoughts on the DIY Headway Super Beast builds? Are they too unstable to trust? Coopy. That's what I said. Did I say Coopy? Coopy? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's what I said. Dang, man. What are your thoughts on the DIY Headway Super Beast? Headway is a very inexpensive form of lithium. And you can get into it cheap, and that's the plus side. The negative side, yeah, El Fuego. Yeah, here's your answer. Yeah, you see El Fuego. You see that right there? So, you can get into it cheap. Yeah. Thank you. I did pronounce it right. You're worse than my wife. She's ornery. Headway is not. It's got a reasonable C rate, so it can charge and discharge pretty quickly. It's very, very affordable. It's relatively compact. It If you're building something that is a seasonal vehicle, okay? I got you. If you're building something that's a seasonal vehicle that only comes out during the summer, goes to shows, does its thing, doesn't see any action in the wintertime, just stays put, and maybe you keep a slow trickle charge on it during the winter so that it doesn't go dead, it's fine. Be fine. Okay? On the other hand, if you are the other 90% of the population who drive your vehicle on a regular basis, and you live in an area where it does get, down around low teens, maybe even 0 degrees sometimes in the wintertime, no, you don't want headway. And if you do, take it out when it's in the wintertime. The other thing is headway is really good if you are charging at factory voltages. If your charging system primarily charges around 13.5, 13.8, something like that, headway likes that. Headway will charge at 14.4, 14.5, but it doesn't like that. And I'm going to tell you the 2 things that you need to do if you want a fire in your vehicle. Well, if you have headway in your vehicle and you want it to catch on fire, you need to go outside when it's down close to 0 degrees or in the teens and crank it up, turn your car on, let that 14 point some odd volt alternator hit it. Then you can call your insurance company up and say, hey, my car's on fire. End of discussion. Next victim. Yep. El Fuego said a fuse did not save my 84 Accord when it caught fire back in 99. A fuse is important, but it's not going to solve all your problems. I mean, if the wire that it's fusing, for one, is smaller than the fuse, if the wire fails before the fuse does, then it's just going to do what it's going to do. It's going to melt, burn, be carpet, flames, smoke, monsters, police, all that stuff. Or if whatever caused that wire to start getting hot to begin with catches fire before the fuse blows, same thing. Flames, poof, tornadoes, cats, dogs having sex, all that stuff. Yes, Bobby B. The fire will keep you warm. It will warm your vehicle right up, and it'll warm up your family's house. And I appreciate you, Koopy. I really do. Hipton Layton Koopy. I like the name. I just had a hard time pronouncing it. Bobby B says the fire will keep you warm. Bobby B is all about staying warm. See, when you get old, like me and Bobby B and El Fuego and probably most of the people in this room, temperature becomes a more important thing than a lot of other stuff. Like, are we going to so-and-so? I don't know. What kind of temperatures are going to be in there? Is it going to be hot? No, I ain't going. If it's going to be hot, I'll stay at the house. I want the AC to be kicking. What else we got before we sign off tonight? I got about an hour and a half before my wife gets home, and I got to go make the chicken. I got time yet, but if ain't nobody asking questions, I'm gonna get off of here. I'll hang out as long as y'all are talking to me. Y'all want me to come up with ideas? I'm all out. I only have one topic for today. Everything else has been purely up to you guys. You want me to talk about headway? Headway is good, and that it's got a lot of power and it's cheap. Just treat it like dynamite in a glass box. That's all I can tell you. Treat it like sweating dynamite. For those of y'all who don't know nothing about sweating dynamite, just Google that shit. dynamite, as it ages, will start to sweat. And once it does, that's when it's become really unstable. So they make that stuff with nitroglycerin, and the dynamite itself, when it's in that form, is stable until you put, light the fuse or put a blasting cap in it, or some det cord. But once it starts to sweat and get old and sweat, then just vibrating it a little bit can blow it up. Yeah, you don't want to be around no sweating dynamite. Bad jujubes. Anybody got any questions? Let's see. Fuego. Bobby B. Bobby B said it gets in the mid-teens at my house and over 120 in the summer. The heat's not really a problem, Bobby B. The heat is not really a problem. But that cold is, that's a little bit on the chilly side for the little red batteries. Go enjoy. Hipton Leighton Coopy says, thanks, go enjoy that barbecue just waiting for me in the house. Well, I got to cook it first. Daniel Owen says, I got the 4 Lev 60s. Sales rest at 12.8, exactly the same as my AGM. Ain't nothing wrong with that. If you're going to run AGM, a hybrid system, then running the Lev 60s is actually a pretty good deal. You can run lithium. The stuff we're running rests at 13.1. I'm running 2 separate charging systems, but I could combine them. There's also ways to make them combine when the vehicle's running and then separate when the vehicle's not running. So there's ways to get around that problem. But yeah, Bobby B says he's running the AGM. So that's not necessarily a thing, but if you're wanting to combine it all together and keep it simple, it's not bad. But you could also, with one of these Trunk Thunder batteries, that could be your only battery. You could do a battery delete, run that sucker year round, and not have to worry about none of that stuff. And sitting at 13.23. There you go, baby. Anyway, guys. Yeah, that's second alt. Yeah. I'm running 2 separate systems, so that's how I'm doing it. I got one alt on an AGM under the hood, and then I got the other alt running back here to my Trunk Thunder. So y'all have a good night. It's been real fun hanging out with y'all, and I've learned a lot, and I even did a little jig, danced a little jig, and we all have fun. We always have fun. You guys always entertain me and cheer me up. I come out here all sad and depressed. Like, man, I need to go live so I can Walmart, big AGM. Yeah, baby. And nothing wrong with that. Walmart gets their stuff from a really good supplier. Walmart batteries are actually one of the better ones out there. Just so you know, they're the company that builds them is the same company that builds for a lot of the big brands out there. So yeah, Walmart's actually a pretty damn good battery. Go figure. Anyway, you guys stay out of trouble. Y'all have a wonderful night. See you later, Bobby B, El Fuego, everybody. Battery plus baby. Hell yeah. See you later, guys.